Welcome into the Nets Pod with Sarah Kustok. I am Sarah Kustok, and I am thrilled to be talking with you, spending time with you, and journeying into this Brooklyn Nets season together with all of you. I'm so excited about this podcast, mostly because there's going to be special guests, analysis, interviews. We're going to have a whole slew of things for you to really dig into what it is that we love about this franchise, this organization, this community, and everything that is involved with the Brooklyn Nets. So without further ado, this, of course, is the first episode. So I had to have one of my very favorite people. More than anything, a friend, a colleague, and someone who has known the Nets inside and out pretty much forever, because he has always been a Nets fan and now has a great opportunity to call Nets game, the lead play-by-play of the Brooklyn Nets on the Yes Network, Ryan Ruocco. Rooks, thanks for being here with me.
Thanks for having me,
And not
Coos.
only, of course, you see him everywhere, not only are you calling Brooklyn Nets games with all of us, a great crew that we get to hang with one another, you are also the lead play-by-play for the WNBA, calling the finals, the Women's Final Four, all of that on ESPN, NBA on ESPN. So you're a little bit of everywhere.
Yep.
I know you're a podcast extraordinaire, because you are always on them and have them yourself. But I'm most excited, and I know we both are, about this Brooklyn Nets season. It's a rebuilding year. The organization is in a direction where there is a lot of hope, intrigue, and curiosity of how things will play out. I think most specifically, which we'll get into, the enthusiasm for Jordi Fernández and this coaching staff in year two. It was extraordinary to watch what they were able to do last season. And I think building upon that, having the offseason, having the preseason, but doing so with a lot of new faces. Historic 5 first-round picks for the Brooklyn Nets. We've already got a little bit of taste of it. We got a chance to see these guys not only throughout the course of the offseason, the preseason, but now as we're getting regular season games underway. What have been your early impressions? And let's start with Igor Joman, the number 8 overall pick.
Yeah.
He is a guy who not only are we excited to see what he is on the floor, but off the floor, just his joyful personality, his disposition, the ability for him to really just navigate through what it is that he is learning about this team, this group, and this league. What stood out to you most about him?
Well, first of all, I'm pumped to do this with you. I'm pumped to talk to you, pumped to hang with you. And Sarah and we're just like really, really close friends for a long time. So just getting to do games together is so fun. And so now we get to do a little podcasting together.
Abide by that, but
so this is great. I think, well, first of all, the thing that stands out most to me about Yegor. It's how young he looks. This is the thing that stands out most to me. He's 19. He looks 13. It's really astonishing.
Yeah.
And it kind of, I think it gives some perspective, though, in all honesty, because you realize he's 19. Like, you shouldn't be impacting the NBA in the way you're going to when you're fully bloomed, right? Like, even think of a player like Victor Wembanyama, okay, who has extraordinary physical gifts. And even him, year 1 to year 3, so much different, right? Like, we see these young men become grown men. Right. And I think that's something that I'm excited about with Yegor, is seeing how young he looks and knowing what journey lies ahead of him. And then the things that we've seen on the floor tangibly that I think are really exciting. First of all, it's just the comfort shooting. Yeah. There were a lot of, different draft analysis commentary that I had seen going into the draft and the aftermath. Well, can he shoot? He has great vision. He's a playmaker. Can he shoot? I don't think anybody's saying that anymore. He can clearly shoot. It's not just the results, which, he's tied for the third most made threes through the first 2 games of any rookie's, career. But it's the different kinds of threes.
It's how you watch it.
Yes.
I think so often we watch guys and keep going, but I'm watching guys and I don't care. I don't want to look at the basket and watch if it's going in or out. You can tell if someone can shoot by how they step into it, often just their comfort level, and especially doing it in a game, and you see that.
He can shoot.
Yeah.
You can just see he can shoot. So this thing that we thought was going to be a huge key for him to be able to unlock potential feels like it's already been answered in the affirmative right away.
And I want to give shouts to Jordi. Often says it.
Yeah.
Didi. He references Didi. Davidus Dulcus, who is a member of the coaching staff, played overseas. Again, excellent player in his own right. Has been an extraordinary part of his coaching staff. Which, for as much as we talk about Jordi Fernández, you got to give it. It's this whole collection of these individuals who have come together and they work so well together. But Didi was a big part and is a big part of his guy, his coach, who's worked with him. And I think those are the things that you start to see with a lot of these players and these coaches.
No, totally. And even so, that has stood out a ton, right? I think we've already seen his playmaking. You think about the poise he showed. I know Jordi mentioned it as well. The poise he showed at the end of that Cleveland game, albeit it was a loss, but an extraordinary comeback that he was on the floor for, running the point throughout the vast majority of in that fourth quarter. And then something else I've liked is, he has been really honest and introspective in what he feels like he needs to get better at. Because if you're evaluating his game right now, you've said, we see the playmaking, we see the passing ability, the shooting's been great. He hasn't been able to get into the paint really yet, right? Okay, it's a couple games, but we haven't seen him really be able to get downhill and get into the paint. And he's talked about that. He's like, I need to be able to get into the paint. I need to be able to handle the physicality. That's something I'm going to need to learn, to work on, to figure out technique so that I can create shots for my teammates. And to me, I love seeing a 19-year-old a couple games in, instead of feeling defensive or unable to break himself down, feeling secure enough to be like, hey, here's the areas where I already see I have to improve in order to help my team.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting. You look at all these, go through them. The rookie, like Ben Saraf, he's got
wiggle. He's got some speed.
He's got something to his game.
Yeah.
He's got some juice, and he's someone who has played internationally over. He still was playing against grown men, and so for as much as you watch him being a 19-year-old, you could tell there's a level of physicality, how he uses his body, his strength, his angles. I think with all of these individuals, Nolan Traore, like it'll be, and there will be bumps, and I think that's the important thing for all of us, for Nets fans who watch, and you're gauging what this looks like. There's going to be ebbs and flows throughout all of it, but I think early on, just the understanding of getting this game experience, these opportunities. Ben Saraf is a guy that I'm really intrigued by because of his size, because of his craftiness. You talk about Yegor and, still working to get downhill, get in the paint. He's got the IQ, the vision, what he can do defensively, shot coming around. Saraf is his shot. That is a question mark. I think the willingness to take it, to keep defenses honest, is going to be important, but he's someone who can get downhill and just how he looks at that. Drake
We've
Powell,
seen that.
Yeah.
With Ben, sorry to cut you off, Sarah, but with Ben, it's been pretty apparent, right? Like just through the preseason and now through the first couple of games, that he has that level of quickness and maneuverability and handle that he's gotten. The jolt that you see from him, it stands out, right? You watch him with the ball in his hands and you're like, whoa, okay, all right.
Yeah.
So, that's something exciting. And I do think just high level on the rookies as we kind of evaluate this is the fulcrum of the excitement of the season, right? Like this is what we're going to be watching for. We understand it's a rebuilding year. I think the Nets, to their credit, have been very honest about the kind of season it's going to be. I appreciate that. So then what is it about? It's about seeing these guys individually and breaking them down. And there's an enthusiasm we can get from that in seeing their growth and their talents and their skills come out.
And I think that's a part of the markers. Unfortunately, Danny Wolf hurts his ankle before the first game of the season in Charlotte. So, work in progress, same with Drake Powell. But for all these individuals, what do those markers look like? And what I think I'm going to be really curious to continue to watch is we kind of shift. You got these rookies, the evaluation, what it's like for their acclimation in the league. Jordi Fernández has talked in the preseason, going into the season offensively, about that 0.5 seconds, making a decision, make sure, playing unselfishly. I think all coaches and all organizations, this because we go to different preseason training camps, and everyone wants to play faster and everyone wants to pressure the ball more and create turnovers. And there's a lot of the same markers that are said of what you want to do, but I think early on, getting a chance to identify that and see that and what that looks like. And I think offensively, and I'm hoping the Charlotte game was an outlier, just maybe in terms of that acclimation or the compete level or what that looked like when things did get bad and going south. I think the ability for this group to stay together, and I think a part of that does come from, the coaching staff, but also the enthusiasm of these more veteran players, or how a Terrence Mann continues to fit himself into what this looks like, getting Nick Claxton involved, Day'Ron Sharp coming in, the growth of those players. Noah Clowney is someone who I'm curious, he has talked about him wanting to put the ball on the deck more, expand his game, not just be a three-point shooter. And so I think for everyone involved, to me, the ball sharing, the ability for the offense to function in a way that even if shots aren't going through, does it look how you want it to look? And I think sometimes those are going to be kind of the markers of how you evaluate it. Okay, fine, you missed a shot, or however a play didn't get executed, but was a process of what it looked like.
Yeah.
Correct. I think defensively, though, is going to be the big question mark.
Yeah.
And one, it's about actually being able to get stops, play the way you want to play, but two, the buy-in of that.
Well, and that's what Jordi talked about after game one, right? Is he said, we didn't play hard enough.
Right.
He said, we have sports science data that would tell us we didn't play hard enough. And as you pointed out in the broadcast, Sarah, you didn't even need the data to
the
know.
eye test showed that, and
But
sometimes that happens.
But I love that is part of what we have come to expect now, albeit in just a year plus, of a Jordi Fernández coach team. There is going to be a standard of just compete and effort that is going to be upheld regardless of the age of the players, regardless of their experience, regardless of the expectations of the team. And it's those things that build the foundation then for what will hopefully be to come. And I think, the biggest takeaway for me from last year was it was so obvious that Jordi can coach.
Yeah.
And that was my biggest seed of comfort, if you will, at the foundation of this Nets rebuild, was seeing, they got the right coach. They got the guy they need to build this up. And I don't think it's that easy to show that in a season like the Nets had last year, and yet Jordi did. And that, I think we've already seen through 2 games this year where, Jordi obviously knows what this season is going to be like, but he is going to make sure that these players are living up to a certain standard, and that standard is then going to carry them through, times when the Nets are going to, compete for the playoffs and hopefully a championship and everything else. And so I just love seeing the rigorous way that he make sure to hold them to account, whoever they are up and down the roster.
I also, and for those Nets fans and those who wonder that or see that, or even to your point of, okay, how do you entirely evaluate that or
about him being
gauge
a great
that,
coach.
Based on just what you look at or what the record. There was, to me, an immediate, and for better or worse, I've been through a lot of different coaches, seen a lot of, I know you have 2 training camps with that. There was an organization, a level of communication, and a shared responsibility among his staff, I would say from year one, from what that training camp looked like. I said, this feels, I think I was talking to Capper, I was sitting there, but I said, this feels different. And just how methodical everything was. It continued through the year. I think there was also the help of really great veterans. And so through the course of this Nets organization, particularly the Brooklyn years, like we point back to different teams, there was always veterans. I know we talk about this often, a Damari Carroll, a Luis Scola, an Ed Davis, there's guys that were able to continue to showcase, okay, this is how you show up, this is how you prepare. And I'm interested to see what does that look like this year, and who may that be? Because this is right now the youngest roster by average age in the league right now. No one who's so. How does that manifest itself? What does that look like? And also, how does that continue to build these younger players? But I think a big part of that is the coaching staff, and I think Jordi's tough love with his players, how he resonates with them, is something that I think we'll continue to watch and to see. But to me, that's the most comforting part, the most enthusiastic part. And also when we go to every other arena or we go to talk to other players, the respect level
Yeah.
across the board continues to be there.
I'm using another Spurs analogy story here, but I think it's relevant. A couple of years ago, during Wemby's rookie year, I was sitting with our buddy Richard Jefferson getting ready to do a Spurs game, and he asked Pop, who used to coach Richard. He said, I know what the culture feels like here. Who are the culture drivers now? Your team is so young. Like,
right.
They were in a complete rebuild. And Pop said, I have to do it right now. I have to be the one to do it. And to your point about kind of our curiosity of like, okay, who are going to be the players on the floor to step up and to lead and to step into that, I think the comfort that you have is feeling like this coach, if Jordi has to be the one to do it right now at this moment in time, you feel great about that, right? He's going to find a way to imprint that on the organization. And then players come along, and whether it is some of the veterans like a Terrence Mann or a Michael Porter Jr. or even a Cam Thomas a little further along, today, Cam's obviously been exposed to Jordi, but Terrence and Michael, do they embrace some of the qualities that Jordi has and start to infuse that into the younger players?
And I agree, and I'll even say this, and for those who wonder, we knew those last couple roster spots. What does it look like? Who are you keeping? How are you keeping this for the development of the future, the short term, the long term? That's why I was so excited about Tyrese Martin.
Yeah.
And Jalen Wilson.
Yeah.
And to me, I can't say enough good things about this is the second straight year that Tyrese Martin has had to earn his way onto the roster. There is a steadiness, there is an understanding, and that there, and we even see it at different points of the game, a trust from Jordi, from the staff, for how he's going to show up and how he's going to play, even in Jalen Wilson. And I think for those of us who get to sit in practices, get to sit through shoot-arounds, see how people show up, see how people work, again, there's more to it than sometimes just the minutes on the floor. Or it's just who is actually playing in certain games or what that looks like. People that are able to maintain a consistent, positive, energy-giving attitude, regardless of what's happening in their playing time throughout the course of the season. To me, that is such a huge value, not only for a team and an organization, but also for other players to see how that continues to help them feed off one another. So to me, that's just as important.
Nets fans, dunks, dimes, and no-looks are great on TV, but catching them from the hardwood is a whole different experience because nothing compares to catching your Nets in person. And all that starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Nets and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you in the game so you can experience all the sights, sounds, and styles in person. From seeing your favorite Net stars up close to hearing the squeak of the sneakers on the hardwood. Even if you're headed to the game last minute, Ticketmaster's got your back when it comes to scoring tickets. Get tickets at Ticketmaster.com/Nets. See you courtside, Brooklyn.
With that being said, what like for you, let's segment this into the first 20 games of the season.
Okay.
First 25 games of the season. Like, what will indicate to you that this is moving in a direction that you feel good about as a Nets fan? Your dad's going to call you. Your dad's going to text you.
Yep. He watches every
Because
game.
Papa Ruocco watches every game.
Yep.
And, what will make him feel optimistic after game 20?
Probably if they're, 17-3, I would say. I think honestly, it'll be, do the Nets look like they have at least two rotation players out of this year's draft class projecting ahead? I think it could be as modest as that. Now, I think that would be enough to feel like, okay, I think ideally, obviously, you want to get more than that. But right. I think if through 20 games you feel pretty confident, you got a couple guys who are going to be able to play good NBA minutes for you moving forward, I think you can start to build off that. And then you start to look at, hey, projecting ahead. Is Ben Saraf going to be a starter on a playoff team? Is Yegor going to be a starter on a playoff team? How does Drake Powell translate? How does Traore translate, right? What does Danny Wolf look like? Right. To me, what is going to be a win in those first 20 games, for me, is really focused on those guys. It's really focused on the rookies. Now, that's not to say I'm not also curious about the continued development of, a Noah Clowney, right? And or a Tyrese Martin, who, I think last year, to your point, proved himself and the expansion of his game. All of a sudden we saw the way he got downhill, the way he was able to drive the basketball and play make in addition to his ability to shoot. But for me, it's really going to be on those 5 guys. And then there's one other thing too, and it's Zaire Williams. You know, like he's very last year, like he was a guy who reminded me of what we saw during the first rebuild under Sean, where you were looking for pieces that could be a part of a future rotation on a contender, right? And all of a sudden you had the development of, you know, Spencer Dinwiddie and Joe Harris and Karis LeVert and the resurrection of D'Lo.
Exactly.
And you were like, oh, wow, you know, like, okay, there's something to this. You know, Zaire, watching him last year, I think we all kind of thought, you know what, like he looks like he can be a legitimate rotation guy on a good team. And the way he started this year, his shot has gotten so much more consistent. He shot at 36% after Jam 1 last year. We know the effort and athleticism and energy he plays with on both ends of the floor. And the way he shot it out of the gates this year, to me, that's another curiosity. Like, where could Zaire end up continuing to answer in the affirmative for being a piece of the future? So those are going to be my focuses for the first 20 games.
I like that. And I think the important aspect of that is understanding, for as much as we are talking about youth and like it takes time in moments to develop in this league, being in the right fit, what that looks like, the landscape of where the Eastern Conference is right now, and the opportunities that presents, just being in live game situations that, you know, that are tight down the stretch, or the competitive level of what this team looks like. So yeah, Zaire is someone who I think there is so much intrigue about what he can become and continue to become, and the fact that he is a lottery pick, and you know there's talent there, there's skill there. But if that shot continues to show this type of consistency, given what he does on the defensive end, and just a pleasure to be around. Like that's what I think that matters. I think it matters to have those type of guys in the locker room that bring fun and bring spirit and bring a joyfulness, and that's exactly what you do, Ryan Ruocco.
Every day, Sarah.
We're going to get into a part of the podcast. We're going to, with our guests, have a little special segment that digs into things that they hold most dear to their heart. So you can experience your Nets live with Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Brooklyn Nets. So we want a ticket to Ryan Ruocco as a father. Dad. He's got 2 children, Evie and Remy. Congratulations. Remy just
Thank
born
you.
this past summer. Your beautiful and incredible, smart, brilliant wife, Andrea.
Yes.
You won the lottery with her.
There's no doubt about that.
What are your 5 favorite things about being a dad?
Oh, man, that's it. I love being a dad so much. Like, I really do. I think the first thing that I love, and you just experience it in this really wholesome way as a father, is just seeing the way young kids interact with the world and their innocence and their good. They're just good. They're just good. They're innocent. They're curious, you know, and it kind of, I mean, it should be a lesson to all of us on how we can interact with each other, how we can be kind to each other. And, you know, anytime the wonder, you know, like it's just amazing seeing that wonder on a daily basis.
I feel like you're kind of on that level, so I imagine you guys have a lot of childlike
definitely
awareness of the world.
I've tried to never let go of the magic I believe this life has, so I definitely do feel connected to, you know, that childlike wonder in that way. But when you see it play out for your kids, it's just this amazing thing. Like, you know, I could say to Evie, like, oh my gosh, Evie, look, there's a branch that looks like a V. And she'll be like, are you serious? Where? You know, and she'll think it's the coolest thing. And, you know, like, it's just that, you know, I'm really being able to observe that. So that's one big thing. I think just the snuggles. Oh, the snuggles are great. Like, you know, just being able to watch a show. Like, right now, Evie's so into Bluey, so we'll just snuggle and watch Bluey. She also loves her princess movies. With Remy, like, he's got the most delicious baby cheekies. He's a chunker. So just, like, getting to hold him, that would be up there. The free play when you're a dad and you just go out and play, you know, like it's just like me and Evie just go in the yard and just like run around. You make up a game with your imagination. You just go play. Like there's some monster coming. Oh, we gotta go. Evie, the monster's coming. You know, I love that. I think watching the way they grow and they learn. Like sometimes Evie will articulate something to me and the way she puts a sentence together, and I'm just like, so Evie's 4, Remy's 4 months, and I'm just like, how do you know this already? Like, how do you process this way? So I'll give you a funny one, okay? So to go to bed, which
we do have a timeline on this podcast.
Yeah.
Keep coming.
So every parent knows. We asked for 5. Next time, ask for 2.
Come on, keep coming.
Every parent knows, like, you're gonna have sleep struggles especially with your toddlers, right? You're gonna go through different things with that. Every parent knows. So Evie's thing we have to do when she falls asleep, this is what has been our solve for her sleep issues, is Andrea or I says outside her room, "You are safe and you are loved," okay? But Evie wants me to, like, shout it. And I'm saying it, like, kind of low. And so I say to her the other day, I'm like, Evie, I can't shout it. Daddy has to protect his voice, like, for broadcasting. And she goes, no, Daddy. When you shout it, it makes your voice stronger, so that then you can say, "Caitlin Clark, you bet." Like, and I just start cracking up. Like, how did you?
Did she say "you bet"?
Yeah, she did. Like, how do you put that all together? So I think that was officially 4, but it was probably more like unofficially 11 different things I love about being a dad. So hopefully that's enough.
Are you going to give one more then, or no?
Do you want me to?
No,
I can. I feel like I gave you a lot.
You gave us a lot.
Maybe more than you wanted, but I just love being a dad.
Never more than we want, but always appreciate everything you give us. And everything you give us on the Yes broadcast for the Nets, all the NBA, all the WNBA, everything you do, but most importantly, thanks for being my partner, man.
Yeah, always.
We're going to have a fun season ahead.
We will. I think one of the things that's cool about the culture we have with Nets on Yes is people can tell we're all genuinely friends.
We are.
Really close. And so, whether it's through wins or losses or whatever, hopefully that chemistry endears them to the experience we get to have together.
And we are. We're in it together. We're all in it together. And we so very much appreciate you joining here on the Nets Pod with Sarah Kustok. And you can find this on Nets YouTube, anywhere you get your podcasts. And as I mentioned, I know Ryan Ruocco was amazing, but a ton of special guests to come in future episodes. So for Ryan, myself, until next time, we'll see y'all later.